Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get going, let's thank our sponsors, namely The Simple Sword and The Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tockert. That's me. Those are the easiest, fastest ways to learn how to sword fight and build a basis so you can go on in your martial arts adventure. We haven't got anybody in through the door yet, but that's okay. Look, we've got lots of watchers. Folks, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and don't hesitate to hit up in the comments because we're all about talking about what's going on. Speaking of, hello, we've got Bladed Thesis hopping in. One of our amazing Patreon members, Patreon folks who help me keep the lights on and keep my increasingly rickety stone wall up. They're boards, duct tape. It's a miracle, folks. But we are still thriving. What do I have to talk about? I get to talk about this in a bit in one of my favorite little sessions of What Was Shad Thinking? But that's a little later. We've got some announcements coming down the pipe. I will some videos I was looking into between the last couple episodes. And of course, as always, I am taking questions. While I have done Ask Me Anything episodes, there's always an open door. Hail, Frog G, what's in the house? And a huge shout out also to Luke Stone of Luke Stone Studios. Go visit his website, folks. Luke has been fighting his way back from COVID, and he's producing great things, including Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, which he's still drawing on. I got to talk to him today. And the little thing called the Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the role-playing game that yours truly got it. Oh, and we have a guest. Hey, John, how you doing? Great to hear from you. We don't get to hear enough from John Miner. I'm really excited, and I'm kind of hyped today because there's been a arcing topic of discussion that's been going around. What's that? Oh, Frog G saying hi to John. Everybody greets each other, and you know what? That's what we want. I want a lively chat group. I will probably be hitting up John one of these days to do if he's not in here like he's been one of my few guests. I'll probably send him a link one of these days so we can hop on and really talk shop. We might even start the show early that day, just so that we can sit around, talk about the different styles, because John and I go way back. And if we can get him talking, I think he'll be able to really help me galvanize a future project. But getting back, and I will gladly stop for whatever people talk about. Why am I so excited by this? Why am I so excited by this? Now, it's funny John's here because this is a sword for me. My definition of a sword is the blade, caught it, longer than my forearm? Barely. So this to me counts as a sword. I tend to like them just a hair longer. Something like this. Whoops, we caught a strand from another project. But this to me works. This is a nice sword to me. This is a dagger bordering on a knife for John. No. I apologize to any undead viewers. I'm not trying to gatekeep the undead from my show, just my home. Oh, I'm sorry. I just flashed back to someone who is a friend of mine and now is just somebody that I used to know. But we are visited by the brilliant and talented Johnny Cage, master of drawing boobs. I don't know nothing. All right. Now, why am I excited? Well, see, I love when people take the long way around to get to logic. I don't blame them, but I do find it amusing. Now, I have for years said, well, what's the best sword to know how to use? I get this question a lot. And I usually respond something like the one that speaks to you, unless you're talking practically. If you're talking practically, understand your way around a machete. The reason I say this is, frankly, the machete is the most common sword used in the world today. Okay? Some people call it a knife. The knife, sword, a lot of the definitions between a knife and a sword are determined by some people by the nature of their pommel. Being that if it has a peened pommel, where there is a weight of some sort on the end, or an end cap, that counts as a sword. But if it has scales and no end piece, it's a knife. That's how the messers got around the sword restrictions in certain times in Germany. Now, John says, bigger than a boot knife. I've seen John's boots, and John's boot knives can be parry daggers to me. We really got... You know what? As soon as this weather gets open, I'm going to have to do a guild day. I'm really working on planning this. And because remember, this very show that we're 3 seasons into was founded as a way for me to keep in touch with the guildies so that we could, maintain conversation and bring some light into the darkness that was the pandemic lockdown. I think I can say those without getting too much censure. Anyway, one sec. And no, I'm still on my no calf. I'm rocking Canada Dry. A little bit medicinal. We'll keep it up. That being said, I'm really looking forward to live action. I'm also, as the people who are Patreon members know. Hi, Cindy Kep. Speaking of Patreon members, and one of my favorites joins us. Hello, Cindy Kep, the author, creator. She does crochet and amigurumi. She made my manatee. Cindy Kep, www.ckoepp.com. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put her link in the chat because I can't type it in easily on Blink. There we go. Maybe? Yes. On Brian K. Morris's Nevermind the Furthermore, which I tend to crash early and often every morning. Today is a beautiful day for us. If it wasn't a work day, we've been outside training this morning. Oh, that's beautiful, and I envy you. For us, thesis, it was a high of 10 degrees, 45-mile-an-hour crosswinds, and snow over ice. So my wife actually got to stay home today and yesterday, and we're turning into a 5-day staycation where I'm working on the house. Hey, yo! Yep. Now, getting back into things. I love talking about swords. Anyway, I love talking about swords and watching the other sword channels, and I watch a lot of related content. I prefer YouTube rather than broadcast simply because I love supporting smaller creators anyway, and I get niche stuff, which means I get to watch people even when I disagree with. Now, our boy Shad, the Australian Shadversity, was talking... Wow, I see how you are. Anyway, was talking about what's the best EDC. It took him an hour to come to what he called how did he phrase it? It was so delightful. A modern tactical gladius. Shad having to work through the process of admitting that carrying great swords everywhere doesn't really work well for EDC was beautiful. But then he's going through the weapons he orders, and he pulls something that looks like this. And he calls this my friends, dear friends. No, he called it, because it had a bit of longer handle, a modern tactical gladius. And my heart grew 3 sizes. I mean, black is cool, but grew 3 sizes. Because this weapon, basically, This is a leaf blade sword. Okay? This design, now not modern steel, of course, but this shape dates back to the 17th century. BC! Yes, 1700 years before zero, or almost 4,000 years ago. EDC everyday carry. Sorry, I everyday carry, just like my neck knife. He was like, modern tactical gladius. I'm sorry. A Bronze Age blade design. It's worked for 4,000 years. And it's... I'm sorry, guys. Yes, the Celts. Thank the Celts. That's what I call a Celtic leaf blade. Woo. Yes, John. Hey, this beard was red before I started running out of natural toner. Now, see, that's interesting. And I saw it, but I didn't have time to watch both. So don't spoil that one for me, because that gives me content for next week and later. But gosh darn it, did this make me happy, guys. Because he sat and ragged on you can't thrust with a machete. One, why would you? Two, yeah. And then resulted to this. Friends, and I want to make it clear, he had to admit it didn't fit. Our boy Shad Brooks, Shadow of the Conqueror, author Shad Brooks, had to admit that a two-handed sword isn't really good for everything. And it delighted me to watch him try to apply a free hand. It was delightful. So that, guys, yes, I there are a few things that make me as happy as that, but that made me happy, folks. I actually got too warm in my little head thing. I'll probably put it back on there. This delight, yes, absolutely delightful. Hi, Rex. I'm gonna go by Rex. It's a little easier for me. But yes. Now, my favorite sword would be probably... John, this is all your fault. You got me addicted to this thing. This little guy. Oh, my Spanish Bilbao. Oh, I love it. Thank you for confirmation. We can see your horns again. They're starting to grow back. I buff them best I can, people, but when I get that excited, because it is lighter. Cutting is good. I have no problem with cutting, but people underestimate how well cutting can do. Now, I really would like a slightly more robust version of this. The Mighty Stick got good credit, and though he didn't claim it, the irony of it all is I do favor a stick roughly 3 feet long, usually in cane formation, but sometimes just straight, as an EDC self-defense and useful tool. Because, yeah, why not have all of it, John? I mean, that's minimal. John remembers me in the old SCA days, where I weighed 150 pounds and about 250 once I was in Clausen arms. Sorry, I weighed less on the field. You see, it was part of my training regimen. If I was walking around carrying enough knives and daggers and axes that I clanked, When I was on the list field and I only had a couple fencing blades, I was light as a feather. That doesn't surprise me. Compared to a sword, the reason I like the stick, one is I have to walk with one. And I have this crazy idea. Now, bear with me. I know this is huge, but I walk with the aid of a cane. I don't always need it. It's mostly for balance, not support, and I'm doing better till I'm not. Hence the reason I don't go anywhere much without a cane. Now, I'm in my study, so I have what I consider my study cane. I have several like this, which are just dowel rods. These are the ones I use to train people with. But I usually walk with a derby-headed cane by Custom Canes. It's so very light. Oh, we got a message. Really, I'm going to have to see skulls because these things spread around. And what would should I give a short list of swords and weapons I would consider self-defense? And we will caveat this with no firearms because let's be honest, firearms are a fairly short list and it's not terribly interesting most of the time for most people. Again, I can't support the use of a stick because one, I need one, and two, if I legally have to explain why I bludgeoned someone about the head and shoulders, I can say I could have used something sharp, but I didn't. So I used a less lethal option that I had to have. Now, see, that's nice. That's nice. I used to have a very nice dagger that was about 9 inches. I don't go anywhere without a neck knife, but I also don't really count this as a weapon. I mean, obviously, it has a weapon. It's a knife. I can knife with it, but for me, this is just a necessary tool because that is a great question. No. First off, guys, we are about adaptive training. So I really want to hammer in the importance of how do I use a cane with wrist damage? There are a couple ways. You can use a longer one if you have sufficient grip. I have wrist damage, but it's tied to me, and most of it's in nerve gripping. So unlike the Jedi, I use a lanyard. That's why I favor a derby cane, because a derby-headed cane. One second. I'm going to mute so that I can shout for something, and then I will be just back audio for just a second. Sorry. The reason I don't. Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. This is my cane. Part of it is a custom canes. I bought it at Goodwill. They run about us. I caught you, and I have since fixed it. Thank you. Thank you for the muted notices. Now, first thing I have is a lanyard. This way, because my hands were constantly dropping things. A lot of times, I can actually get up and let me see. Can I get this where you see when my wrist isn't working? I have this inner crook, I can use this like this and rest it. I was actually eyeballing the support crutch style canes, and I did actually have to switch to a crutch for a while out of necessity. Yes, so Foxy says, and I've used those. Basically, exactly. I don't want to close out. But this is actually goes into something that really bothers me. There are some people who do great Joe Staff videos using a stick for self-defense, and they make defense-minded sticks. And with your fancy knurls, and the hook is sharp, so you can get them with it. My problem is how you use a cane in a self-defense situation varies dramatically with how you use a cane in that situation. So if I am using a cane in a self-defense situation and I need it to hold me up, its most defensive use is to hold me up, possibly right coming down hard on the arch of an attacker. At which point I put my about 3 bones worth of weight into that. And yes, I have spent years, and I'm pretty darn accurate with that. Oh, I actually have a very similar model. I do like this one better. It's a bit lighter. And I do not like the collapsible canes. Unless you're pro nunchucks. I think I've made my point on flail weapons and me not being friends. But I've seen several that sit like this. I would, if you need a cane, I would really look into getting one of those where it braces horizontally and then it has a little wrist thing you can grab, or it straps to support you. There are kinds where they're hinged, where you can have free range of your arm and then lock back down. There's some really nifty options in assisted mobility. And folks, that's what part of what makes our group different. So please, Cindy, especially, don't ever hesitate. Because right now, there's no one else who would even answer that question seriously. And if there was, I'd be like, here, talk to them if they could do it better than me. A lot of what I do just because I haven't found somebody who can do the specific niche better. And then when I find somebody I think, I get told otherwise. So I just keep about where I am. I may have to change this rope out a little bit. I've actually put significant amounts of damage. And yes, this is a lot of extra. I find in certain situations, having a few feet of paracord that I happen to have with me everywhere I go is just handy. Awesome. And you know what? If you know where the links are to that, Fox, you put them up on the Historical Fencing Guild public group. Because honestly, I was looking for something similar, knowing they exist and not finding really good options. So we found Foxy's cane at Walmart. Excellent. But could I use this in probably two-handed or retention grip? Absolutely, if I can stand. And that's where things get dicey. But that's okay, too. We want to be able to train to use what we have. That's why EDC is so important. Columbia Knife and Tool Company, CRKT. Columbia River Knife and Tool. Please make a trainer version of a minimalist, okay? This is one of the most popular styles of neck knife in the world. Please, guys, if that company is watching, make a fighting trainer. They made the trainer of the FE9, which is one of my favorite trainers of all time. I'm still looking for that knife. That's a decent-sized knife. Make a trainer of these. If you keep it cheap enough, I'll probably buy several, to be honest, because I really think everybody should carry a knife on them. Basically, as an adult, you should have some kind of cutting tool. Now, granted, I also carry I don't have my lighter with me, which is actually bugging me because it should be right here. But I must have used it to light something. I carry a multi-tool most places I go, and just a little one because it's fairly versatile. I carry a lighter most places I go, although, like I said, it's not here. That's going to bug me till I find it, which is a Ronson. But that being said, Nick's favorite self-defense swords. If we have to talk weapon-based things, self-defense swords, a cane is good. A focus, which is basically a shepherd's axe. Think of a hatchet. I'm sorry, not a hatchet, a tomahawk. Where's my little hawk? Like a mouse hawk? Long enough you could use it as a cane. So you have a 3-foot long, it's like a miniature Dane axe. Wonderful. Okay, let me go back here. Let's see. Got Foxy's cane. Check the travel truck. Yeah, there are a lot of canes. Her sword cane trainer has actually worked really well. She has to try to use it outside, but we did. Wonderful! I am so happy to hear that. Where's my sword cane trainer? I've been cleaning and moving things around. I think I see it on the far side of the room. Yeah, I'm not going to leave the camera for that, but I am so glad to hear that. John says, boink. Oh, okay. Man, that's a scheme do. That's that. I have no problem with those Smith and Wesson. Hurt. Let me see. We'll come here. Let's have a look-see, because John recommended a weapon, and I like to see what we're talking about. So we'll shrink this. There we are. Now I can see you, and you can see what I'm looking at. Groovy, groovy, groovy. Boom. Because Smith & Wesson is a good, inexpensive. I like that in an EDC knife because I don't want to carry around a $200 knife. Yes, I've used smaller versions of that. I have one that our very own Steph Marie. Oh, she bought me one of those for Christmas, something very similar for Christmas. And it's a very nice little knife. But okay, excluding knives, but if we're taking swords, first thing, of course, I'd say a sword cane. Obviously, I have been known to collect them. I do quite like a good sword cane. There are some varying models. There's a Night Watchman I'd kind of like, and the related cane spikes, etc. Assuming they're legal. Always check your legal statutes before you consider carrying any weapon. And remember, if you use something like that legally, it could look premeditated, which is not something you ever want. Beyond that, something like a small sword that would be light, comfortable, easy to deploy, fast to use. Oh, all day and all night, or a nice wide machete style weapon. You know, a hanger like this guy would be a wonderful, comfortable, easy to use, easy to deploy. What people forget is how much. Oh, you know what? I think I might have that exact one. So let's see, what's this say? Because I love updates on training. Lately, Foxy and I have been training in sword and main hand, fan and offhand. Wonderful. Pick, we need to talk about that too. Pick systems and weapons that interest you. when I'm taking a new student, yes, I teach everybody the same basics. And John says he got the 3.5. So it only costs $10. That nothing wrong with that. Now, the black spear point version of this runs about 25. This ran a few extra bucks because it used to have a really neat steampunk painted on gear pattern that I've worn off because I use it, ridiculously. And it does hold my happy little, hi, I'm diabetic, check my blood sugar if I'm ever in a wreck. It also glows in the dark. The glowing in the dark was the big thing for me because I have this hung on the wall right by where there's always light so that if the power goes out, I can find my knife. But training with things that are interesting, like if you learn stuff that fits you, but I think you will really find that if you're interested in it, you'll put in the hours, and what you train is what you'll be good at. I don't do as much training right now as I'd like to because I'm still adapting, but the fact I'm 3 weeks out. Every time I've tried to schedule a sort of final appointment with my occupational therapists, there's been a major ice storm. So we'll see. But I wonder if you can get a fan that opens four-handedness. You know what I'm saying? So because I know what Cindy's saying about the flick. It's sort of like a Spidey flick for a Spyderco. That funny little finger trick that opens the Spyderco knife. There's a flick to it that doesn't translate as well because most fans are sighted, where one side is elaborate and decorative and meant to go out. But I wonder if they make left-handed rigged fans, or you just learn it. Now, see, this is again getting in my bread and butter. Distressa teaches sword and dagger, so we just need to adopt it for a bit of sword and fan. Absolutely. And she's getting excellent. I can't wait to see some of the results. Whenever you feel like sharing a video or shooting me a link, I want to see how you guys are progressing because I've actually dabbled with a fan in my own personal training for that very reason. I used to frequent a lot of medieval events and a lot of things. And honestly, given the heat, being able to have a hand fan was nice. Feminine or whatever. Oh, it's 100 degrees. I have a floppy hat and a fan. Lad, you're a fop. I'm a fop, but I'm a fop with a fan. Thank you very much. That I close and then bonk somebody because it's a chunk of metal that's now this long. Oh no! So be sure when you're looking at the fan, think of how to deploy it open as a fan, but also how to use it as a kobutan and short club. Never hesitate the glory of a short club. Society will not let me carry my Viking axe of lamb's mace for personal protection. The Middle Ages were the bomb. John, may I introduce you to your new best friend? The Timberwolf, I want to say 384. This is a wee neck axe. I have some spare paracord, so give me a moment. You have spare paracord? You don't have spare paracord? Always have spare paracord. Now, give me enough for the shenaniganry. Whoop. Put a quick tie because I'm not going to want to use all this. Guys, learn your knots. And that is a problem. People look at you funny. I've told the story many times about the lady who asked me, where did you get that thing? Referring to my neck knife, Psychos or Us. And I'm like, of course, at an employee discount. But you loop it through, you just hang it like this. And it's fashionable, handy, and easily deployable. Now, mind you, it's a little happier for a left-hand draw, but I know you make your own sheaths anyway, John. Make yourself a wee hand axe. And before anyone jokes too much about it, I used to wear this very axe around my neck between neck knives when I would go out hiking because I found it useful, and I hated how knives hopped out of my pockets. Now, I have another neck knife I don't usually show that I got at something called the Feast of Hunter's Moon in Lafayette, Indiana. They sell some very nice, inexpensive neck knives there. And I wore one of those for years, but I nearly lost it a few times because of the way the sheath was. So I switched to a more modern method, one of the kind of teardrop styles. I laughed because that very model of knife, I don't like that. That feels loose. No, see, I need to make sure, yes, I'm being anal, but if you are carrying rope, you need to make sure that you have it tied off in such a way that is secured. Always treat your gear with respect, friends. If you do it right, which this is not, my hands are a little shaky, so after this I'll have a snack. I'm okay, don't worry about me. I'm not actually having blood sugar problems yet, but I had a very surprisingly active day. So, now it's a nice package. Always treat your rope with respect. Oh, absolutely. I answer the door often with assorted live steel weaponry. You guys have seen the Priscilla bush sword. I'm rather fond of using that whenever I hear something go boink in the house because I can deploy it effectively in the in the hallway. Yet, wait. And two people tend to give me yet. Okay, I probably lost a train of thought there. If I did, I'm sorry. If not, remind me where I was and maybe I can pick it back up. All right. I want to talk something else. And I don't know if I got into it last week because with the two videos last week and what I put up on Cyber Tacto this week, I found, and if you're on the Facebook public group, a delightful, very introductory video on Filipino dual stick, which I would assume is a Screama, but I don't want to double down because I didn't hear the individual use that term. Oh, I said, you said you were not having blood sugar issues yet. I tend to pour my heart and soul and get a little sweaty and really, I put it, all out for these videos. And that usually means by the end of the video, I can get it can take a bit out of me and I get up and I have to eat something. I plan that ahead of time. But I also snacked a little heavier today because, like I said, I knew I was excited about Shad having to admit that a one-handed sword was a better EDC. That just, it was like cake and ice cream. But, yeah, I'm not saying I schedule them, but I do know I need a snack coming up. John's referencing a wonderful story from the Society for Creative Anachronism in which, the briefest telling, some hoodlums in Central Park pulled a 6-inch stiletto style knife on someone who looked like Red Riding Hood, tried to cut her, it shanked off her chainmail, and as she drew her sword, she said, "I'll see your 6 and raise you 45. I believe that was Sir Finn of the Mid-Realm. I'm not sure if she's of the Mid-Realm, but Sir Finn. It's been a long time since I've heard that story. God created man, and Colonel Colt made all men equal. That's right. I love firearms for what they are. Okay, I respect them the way I respect a tool, but there is, for me, I also feel that there's less wiggle room. I personally do not carry a firearm. That's because I have nervous issues that cause twitching, which I take medication for. And honestly, if you look, that's for me, guys. Okay, that's the camera being weird. That's not me vibrating because I can't vibrate that fast. So if I go up here, yeah, it looks like I'm vibrating. But I don't trust my ability to have my hands work when I tell them. So I do not carry a firearm. I believe everyone should have the right, Second Amendment, to do so, and I respect that. I also, because I'm respectful, I understand I'm not in a position to do that safely. Now, should that change and my situation change, I might exercise that. But that's how rights go. I have the right to say whatever I want. I also have the right to be quiet. I will say, however, that I do firmly believe any law banning any length of knife is unconstitutional, even if it makes sense. I can agree with the logic and say it's still unconstitutional. It's different. It's a level I don't like to get into often, and not into on this channel often, because frankly it can incite people, and I don't want that. I want this to be a calm, happy place where folks can you meant that 45. I'm sorry, John. I thought you were talking the 45. Never mind. I just really walked all over that one. But I didn't like the way my knife felt when I was holding it, so I need to give it a little stroke, a little love. Take care of your tools, folks, and they'll take care of you. Off topic, please. I'm all for it. I was holding one of my Amiguri hatchlings so someone could see them, and it trembled a bit. The critter thought it was... Oh, that's adorable! I mean, I'm sorry that your hand trembled, and as somebody who has similar problems, I've learned, people just learn to watch where the index finger is pointing, because when I point at things, the pinky pops back up. Watch, I can't do this guy a lot. If I do the two fingers, it doesn't. It's really weird. But yeah, that's cool though. Your amiguris are so adorable, and I absolutely love my my manatee. Anyway, I got roundabout. Well, I'm not keeping to a straight line conversation this week, but that's okay. Why was I so excited about the blocks? The reason I was so excited about the blocks that I saw was it was the same concept. Okay, and he'd use two sticks, but all my sticks are basically out of reach right now, so it's transfer very paired blocks. Because if you could learn this parry, you can play with it later. But it's the same motion to stop an arm coming around. Same motion to smack a leg. Big, gross motions. Wow, that sounds like Krav Maga. But it transfers over, and it's all in one beat. What's that? One tempo? Hey, Fabris. That's right. Guys who have paid attention to my more advanced drills of my students know parry, stab, parry, stab, parry, stab, parry, stab, as one motion. This is a variant of arm sniping that I teach. And I love when you see different systems coming to the same conclusion. That's when you know it's a good idea. So I'm going to be working a new combo drill, because I also want to talk about that, and I have time. I have 15 minutes or so. Guys, there are a few things that need to be discussed, and that's going to be coming up. I'm hoping as early as sometime this weekend to shoot a couple new videos. Now, granted, they'll go up through a secret link to my Patreon supporters first because they pay the bills. And if you want to see them first, it's $1 a month admission. If you can't get $1 a month, if you don't feel what I'm doing on this channel and what you get as a Patreon member, is it worth $1 a month? I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I'm not looking for the big money, but I'm going to be doing a video kind of working some very basic combinations down. Come spring, we will be having practices. Like I said, I have a surprise individual who wants to be a student and is willing to be recorded through the whole process. So assuming that stays through and, I'm physically up to, we should be getting the ground up. Now, it is a returning student, someone I worked with a very long time ago. And I'm looking forward to kind of working with them. I'm also, as I said, going to be doing some local demonstrations, at least for the Benton County Public Library. The date is still fuzzy. It may be part of summer reading. We'll see. And of course, it's dependent on my fingers and my health. But good things are coming. I'm hoping to start laying out plans to have practices here again, because I think the guild really, once we get past the final vestiges of the way this pandemic is, everybody shot and got their jabs and boosts and all this other stuff, and everything's settled weather-wise anyway, we might get to do some really cool things, which will be more recorded videos, more training videos. I also, especially to the folks in the list, that's John, that's Thesis, Cindy, of course, if you ever want to hop on. Anybody who does the martial arts are related. Johnny's welcome. I just don't know if Johnny really has anything to weigh in on this. But if you, and Frog G always, because Frog G is just amazing. But if you guys want to hop in and do a panel talk, I desperately, and I am trying to get to some of my other female sword practitioners, sword ladies. A lot of people use different terms. I use swordsman the way I use fireman. Go, if you listen, I have an I in there. Firemen. Anyway, enunciate, Nick. But as a plural, not a gender specific. I would love to do a panel of women sword practitioners. And honestly, I'd love to, because we experimented, had Amanda and Trey on. And I might even just set Amanda up and be like, I'm out. I don't know. But that's something I want to do because I think that voice needs to be heard. And again, I'm not hearing that sort of angle put up. Jill Barrow does wonderful work, but she focuses mostly on stage combat. And I am not a stage combatant. I don't usually do choreographed fights. Someday I would love to. I would love to do some film for my other channel that might involve choreographed sword fighting, assuming I can make it work. There was a joke back in the days when Sword Sage was local that we were going to enter the lightsaber choreography contest. But maybe someday we'll do it. I mean, we don't have to win, but we might enter it. Oh, wonderful. There is a way, I don't know if you're familiar with StreamYard, but if I sent you a link, we can set it up, and then you turn off your camera, and it puts up the picture that you've selected, and you're just talking in the background. Cindy, of course. The topic I think I would first float would be a discussion of female experiences in martial arts, Western, Eastern, etc. How you feel you're received, it's impacted, how the training impacts you. It's a very broad. See, she says it too. It's a very broad concept, and I'd love to do it. Oh, John recently had knee replacement surgery. Anytime you need me to, Nick, I would be interested. I'm healing slowly. The knee is giving me a lot of trouble and fell on ice a week ago, and I am off of therapy for a while it heals. Gotcha. I actually have something special in plan for you, John Miner, because at some point I would love to get you on and have you talk about small unit tactics, skirmish fighting, and line commanding. I think that might be. And again, this is all up for discussion with my beloved Internet Guild, and see, Frog G streams with his avatar, no camera needed. So yeah, we are totally for that as a comfort measure. For that, like I said, for panelist stuff, I am, as I've said before, and I'm going to put it on. I wouldn't be able, and we may just do a panel show where I get a bunch of you folks on, and we just spend one of these nights doing a big panel show where I have you and John, and we just kind of raise the roof a little bit and make things exciting in here. Again, if there'd be interested viewership, I'm willing to try to host and keep that party going. I've never done it before, but I have some people who can give me advice and tips, assuming my version. And yeah, I would love that. I'd even do a discussion reaction on the fights in a given movie, or just basic topics. I think we can really make something interesting for the people who want. Now, understanding that I'm doing this through my channel, so it would benefit me, but I don't want to presume anything. Yes. He kept says, sure, being a girly fencer, choreography for writers, learning from videos or still shots when the manual isn't in a language you speak or teach. That is a wonderful additional statement, because there is so much to be said. Oh, look, Tallhofer. Tallhofer does not have a lot to say, but does show a lot in his fight book. Well, he has a lot to say about other things. It's interesting. Guys, not to warn you, but Thesis is concerned that he gets passionate when discussing things he's interested in. I don't know anything about overwhelming passions. Buddy, that's why I want you here. Look, you guys know why I wear a bright Hawaiian shirt almost every episode of this. Because the world is a dark and scary place, and I'm trying to bring as much light and positive energy as it would. That's why I don't get to be a broody all in black or more comfortable. Hi, I'm all in brown, and I'm hard to notice. I don't get to wear somebody else's problem field because I want folks to have something to be happy about. And so what am I going to say? Oh, no, don't be passionate. Come on. We're all about the passion here. You are among your people, your tribe, your guild. And that's true. And my wife was a big, was largely involved in that process, being the female student. John taught my wife a great many things. That would be Amanda. I hate those guys who speak of their wives like they're some kind of bizarre creature. No, Amanda's amazing, and I love her dearly. And while physical limitations have prevented her from fighting the way she used to, and a few other things, maybe someday we can get her back out doing things. Just slow and steady. And if not, it's awesome. So, Thesis, what you're telling me is if I do this, I need to do this as a special on a day where we start much earlier and we can do a long form broadcast where it's not butting up into the time where I start to have problems with assorted meds. You're looking to say maybe we need to pick. Whoops, let's see. For real. For a long time, I thought my problem with my joint is a lot, but yes, exactly. And from there, we can pick up, and yes, John, I know. To clarify the people who asked me earlier, there is no blood relation between John and Amanda. He adopted her into an SCA household, and it's a long, long friendship. There are some people who are like, so is he your father-in-law? How does that work? No. I want to clarify that. I don't remember who sent me that message, but that did come through last time I talked to John. No, exactly. That's why Toby Beck's book is so important. Why I would love, because I would never be the type of guy to encourage somebody like Cindy Kepp, who writes amazing fiction and has a background as a teacher, to possibly consider writing something about swordplay from a female perspective. I would never use hook or crook to try to get more content from the voices that need to be heard. That would be underhanded of me, and I am rarely underhanded anyway. Absolutely. It does. We live in an era where discussing gender norms as a identity versus gender norms as biology in some cases can be very delicate. As I've said, I'll make my fists. This is a female fist. The ligaments in my right hand do not function like the ligaments in my left. I am one of 5% of men and 5% of women who have at least one of each. The female fist, the tendons are in different places, the impact areas are in different places. This lends itself to a slightly different fighting style. The male fist is lined up much different. You see how flat and boxy that thing is? It's a very different. This lends itself to an ice pick grip. Look, it locks it in. This lends itself to a swordsman's grip. You see the difference? That is very, very basic. Women's hips move differently. Like I can. No, of course. Please. No, and Cindy, understand, my job is to plant the seed of an idea in the fertile grounds of the most worthy people that I encounter, and then occasionally fertilize it. And as anybody knows, I'm good at producing fertilizer. But no, just keep that in the back of your head, or when you need the reset. Because I don't know about you, but I have trouble writing solely fiction. Like, if I do fiction too long, my brain fizzles out and I have to do something else. If I do nonfiction, it fizzles out and I have to do game design. And I have to bounce around. As I've adapted to some of the ailments and the medications, I've been all over the world on what I can and can't write. So I fully understand it's not a today thing. It might not be tomorrow, next week, next year. But just put that little note, stick that little Post-it note up in the back of your mind, and rock and roll, because what you're doing with Animal Eye is amazing. Now, guys, it is actually 9 o'clock. We are at the top of the hour. So instead of doing my get lost and get myself in trouble, both with my health and my wife, as I feel, guys, it's like lycanthropy. I swear, I can feel the fingertips start to open up. Nerve damage, guys. Don't read into that too far. The Historical Fencing Guild, guys, thank you for an amazing conversation, and I will be looking in the next few weeks to set up some things along that. So huge shout out to everyone. Before I leave, please hit that like button. Please share this so that where you think it could be useful. In groups, on YouTube, message the sword dorks in your life. Love to my sword dorks. And if you're interested in learning how I do things, the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe are both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker. You can also support me by becoming a Patreon member. There are different perks, although that's all getting recategorized because I was getting advice from some dubious situations at patreon.com/author/Nicholas. Oh, no, it's patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. Look for the boot. Guys, ladies, now see, that's a perspective that needs to be discussed because some ladies don't have to get over the lizard brain, especially some I've had to train down. I am the sword dork. No, you're a sword dork because we're in your life, my friend. You are one of us, so you are part of a whole group of sword dorks. Other than that, I'm past my hour. Guys, please be good to each other. Please, please, please start drilling now. Spring is coming. That means do your drills and keep your guard up. But most of all, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and as always, support your local swordmaster.